This is macOS Ken.
What's the wait for an iPhone these days? A mini thing needs a bigger share, and something like a roadmap for Apple Silicon, maybe. It is Tuesday, the 21st of December, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSCan. This show is also sponsored by SimpliSafe, the right way to protect your home. We're pretty much right in the holidays, and SimpliSafe has a special holiday offer for macOS Ken listeners. Right now you can get 40% off their award-winning home security. I like SimpliSafe because it has everything you need to make your home safe. Indoor and outdoor cameras, comprehensive sensors, all monitored around the clock by trained professionals who send help the moment you need it. Speaking of speedy, setting up your SimpliSafe is fast and simple. I had my sensors, base station, and keypad installed in under an hour. By myself. No holes in the walls, no contractors, no problem. Find out for yourself with SimpliSafe's biggest discounts of the year. You can get a complete home security system starting at just over $100. Take advantage of SimpliSafe's holiday deals and get 40% off your new home security system by visiting simplisafe.com/macOSCan. SIMPLI again. That's simplisafe.com/macOSCan for 40% off your entire system. These numbers are neat. I sort of poked fun at JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee a few weeks ago for so meticulously tracking iPhone shipping times. I also apologized when those numbers got interesting, and now they've gotten even more so. Apple Insider has the latest wait times from the Chatterbox, and boy have they shortened. Globally, according to the piece, lead times for the iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13 dropped to an average of 2 days, down from 3 days 1 week ago. The iPhone 13 Pro and Max models are also down from 10 days to 5. The longer waits for the more expensive phones look like good news for Apple and its investors. Chatterjee says they indicate that even as supply is improving across all model SKUs, demand continues to be skewed to the higher end of the portfolio. The thing I find most interesting is contemplating buying patterns. Do the shorter wait times in Western countries reflect the people who've already bought their big-ticket items? Are they representative of people who feel Father Christmas breathing down their neck and are opting instead for something for which they will not have to wait? Or is it all down to Apple's acumen? There's support for that last idea in China. Christmas? Not huge in China. They're more of a Singles Day, Lunar New Year kind of crew. Yet waits there have gone from 6 days to no wait for the iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13, and they've dropped from 15 days to 7 days for phones on the Pro end of the line. It's silly of me, by the way, to say, is it this thing, or this thing, as if the factors could be ticked off on one hand. Omicron could be playing in, as could worries over the economy at large, and who knows what else. That actually makes the numbers more interesting, though harder to pin down. Chatterjee has a buy rating on Apple shares. TipRanks has his price target on the shares at $200. HomePod Mini seems to have helped Apple's share of the smart speaker market. Cult of Mac has new numbers from Strategy Analytics. By that firm's estimate, Apple's smart speaker shipments shot up 92% last quarter versus the same quarter a year earlier. The firm thinks Apple shipped 4 million HomePod Mini units last quarter versus 2.1 million for the third quarter of 2020. Despite the significant increase in sales, the piece says, Apple is in only 5th place in the global smart speaker market. It accounted for 10.2% of third-quarter shipments, according to Strategy Analytics, up from 5.9%. Credit a move to the more affordable for Apple's rise. The difference between the two quarters, according to the cult, is the launch of HomePod Mini in November of 2020. As its name indicates, this smart speaker is much smaller than its predecessor, and the same goes for the price tag. It's $99, down from $399 of its larger and now discontinued predecessor. Running down the top 5 in smart speakers, Amazon is first with a global market share of 26.4%. Google is second with 20.5%. Baidu, available in China only, is 13.6%. Alibaba, also available in China only, is 10.8% of the global market. And Apple's HomePod rounds out the top 5 with a market share of 10.2%. If you're wondering when the best time to buy your next Mac will be, I personally think the best time is when you need or just really, really want a new Mac. Every day after you buy a new piece of technology is one day closer to whatever you bought being bested by the next big thing. That said, if you want something like a roadmap for Apple Silicon upgrades and releases, the Taiwanese site Commercial Times thinks it's got one of those for you. Mac Rumors highlights a machine translation of their report. According to that, secret sources said to know something about something say the Cupertino company plans to update Apple Silicon every 18 months. It sounds like that's M1 to M2 in a year and a half, followed by M3 or whatever name is next a year and a half after that. Quoting the machine translation, in the second half of 2022, Apple will first launch the M2 processor, and in the first half of 2023, it will launch the new M2X processor architecture and release 2 processors such as M2 Pro and M2 Max, according to the different graphics cores. Mac Rumors notes the similarity between that alleged roadmap and the M1 release. Apple hit with M1 machines in November of 2020. It followed that release with the release of M1 Pro and M1 Max a little under a year later. So, plausible. Again, though, get the best machine for you when you need a new machine. That's what I do anyway. There's always going to be a better computer eventually, and when it comes out, it will make you sad. The first of the next round of betas have landed in the hands of testers. I told you yesterday that Apple last week released betas to developers of the next versions of macOS Monterey and the rest of its operating systems. Now a piece from my download blog says the betas for iOS 15.3 and iPadOS 15.3 are available to participants in Apple's public testing program. If you're in that program, you know what to do. If you're not, but wish you were, you can find out more and be the guinea pig you want to be at beta.apple.com. An update this week for the city of brotherly love. Mac Rumors says Apple has turned on its updated 3D maps with custom landmarks for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. With the launch of iOS 15 in September, the piece says, Apple introduced an updated Apple Maps experience with 3D maps that feature additional detail and custom-designed landmarks in select cities. Those started in major cities like LA, New York, London, and San Francisco, according to the report. They've since expanded to Washington, D.C., San Diego, and now Philadelphia. More news in a moment, but first a word from Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. What would you do if you didn't have high-interest loans or credit card debt? With Upstart, you can pay off your existing debt quickly and easily and start doing whatever that is. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart looks at more than just your credit score, factoring in income and current employment. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/macOScan. UPSTART. That's upstart.com/macOScan. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/macOScan. Apple is pledging support for another one of those weird weather events that sometimes feels like we're not going to be able to keep calling weird pretty soon. The Philippines are reeling from being run over by Typhoon Rai, referred to in the Philippines as Typhoon Odette. A piece from The Guardian out of the UK says at least 375 people were killed and 56 are missing after the strongest typhoon to hit the Philippines this year. According to the report, the storm tore off roofs, uprooted trees, toppled concrete power poles, smashed wooden houses to pieces, wiped out crops, and flooded villages. As it tends to, Apple has pledged support for the region. Apple CEO Tim Cook took to Twitter on Monday night, saying Typhoon Rai has caused so much devastation in the Philippines and Malaysia. So many families have lost so much. Apple will be contributing to relief, recovery, and longer-term rebuilding efforts. It's that time of year. Pretty paper, pretty ribbons, and pretty ugly scenes at an iPhone production plant in India. It's kind of becoming a December tradition. Last December, workers at a Wistron plant producing iPhones in India rioted over being paid less than they had been promised. This December, Apple Insider says workers at a Foxconn plant producing iPhones in India have demonstrated, though not rioted, over cases of food poisoning. According to the report, food poisoning of employees at an iPhone manufacturing facility in India prompted protests at the Foxconn factory, resulting in the detention of nearly 70 women and 22 men. 256 workers at the factory were treated as outpatients, according to the piece, while 159 were hospitalized. Apple Insider had more detail on the associated illnesses, which I will spare you. You're welcome. The piece says the food poisoning led to protests blocking a key highway. That brought out the popo, which led to the detainments. The 70 or so women were released after less than a day, while the 22 men were formally arrested, according to the report. Foxconn declined to comment, while Apple didn't immediately respond to the report about the protest, according to Apple Insider. And finally today, funny story, or really a funny procession of stories. After news of the food poisoning, not funny, a piece from Mac Rumors says mass production of iPhone 13 is set to start at, I believe, the same Foxconn facility in India early next year. Anyway, that's the word from the Economic Daily News. According to the piece, the plans come following a reported improvement of semiconductor supply in the region, as well as a successful trial production run of the 6.1-inch iPhone 13 by Foxconn. Successful unless you count the food poisoning. I'm sorry, I'm not actually 100% certain that that is the same facility. With the addition of the iPhone 13 series to its Indian manufacturing plans, Mac Rumors says Apple will make nearly 70% of iPhones sold in the country locally. That should help lower the price, which should increase uptake, which could eventually make Apple big enough to abuse its power on the subcontinent. The little company that could. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by SimpliSafe. Get 40% off your new home security system by visiting simplysafe.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Upstart, fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.